Welcome to MartialPreneur TV. It's episode 10. I can't believe it. We've actually made it to 10 episodes. But we're here. We've done it. So in this special 10th episode, I have a special guest, Gary Engels. Now, Gary was recommended to me by Tom Callos. And if you haven't seen Tom's interview, go and check it out. It's on the site. Tom said to me, you've got to check out Gary. He is doing some very interesting projects. And Gary got in touch with me and we just had a quick Skype conversation, and he decided to share with me what he's working on. So if you don't know what Gary does, he has an academy called the Leadership Academy, which is a martial arts school. But not only do they teach martial arts to the students, they also teach the students how to develop leadership through the martial arts. And more importantly, they teach their students to set up their own projects for the local community, to give back and help out on different local matters and different charities. So a very courageous guy. He's really putting back and giving something back rather than just taking all the time. And that also helps in turn stand his school out from the rest. So Gary talks to us more about that and how he came up with the concept and some of the successes he's had. And he also tells us about Projabi, which is a website which helps you build your project portfolio and develop real-world leadership skills. So that's also Gary's site. So if you're thinking about using this method that Gary talks about to help promote your school and give back to your community, then go and check out Projabi and get some inspiration. And Gary also has Enzo Customs gis. So yeah, check out that if you're looking for a new fancy gi or something that's not easily available. Go and check out his site. It's pretty awesome. Okay, let's jump in on the interview. Okay, welcome to MartialPreneur TV. And with us today, we've got Gary Engels. Gary, how you doing?
Very good, Scott. Great to be here.
Cool, that's good. Good. I mean, Gary's just been very kind to take a bit of time out to speak to us today. I was speaking to Tom Callos, you might have seen in our last interview, and he was recommending I speak to Gary because he's got some interesting projects going on, and is someone who's got a great concept. I've looked at a bit of background onto Gary, your website, your Leadership Academy, and also your personal website. I think you've got some great stuff to share with everyone, but I just wanted to start off, maybe you could explain a little bit about yourself, your background, how you got into martial arts. That'd be cool.
Sure. Well, I started martial arts when I was 5 years old, so I've been around it my whole life, and kind of went back and forth between a couple different styles and that, but ended up in spending a lot of my teenage years in Taekwondo and competition, and went off to college. And during college, I decided I really wanted to kind of dive into martial arts full time, and so found an instructor who taught me the business side, and taught me how to run a school and things like this. So almost 8 years ago, I started my school called Leadership Academy, and the main concept of the school was based on the premise that I wanted to teach leadership primarily. I wanted to not just be a school that teaches martial arts and kicking and punching and that kind of thing. And I think that most schools understand this concept. Yeah. But I wanted to really dive into the leadership concept. It was something that was important to me. The idea that most schools teach leadership. They talk about leadership, sure, but don't have a set leadership curriculum. I mean, how do you teach something like leadership? It's one of the most difficult subjects to really grasp and understand. I mean, you can give a kid a book about basketball,
yep,
and tell them to read a book about basketball, but they're not good at basketball yet. They got to practice. They got to dribble the ball. They got to shoot hoops. And so many leadership programs have based on the premise of understanding leadership intellectually. And I wanted to develop a program that really taught leadership through experiential leadership. And so this is an idea that I talked about with Tom Callos a lot, and what the school was based on. So Leadership Academy really is a leadership school, okay, but we use the martial arts as a vehicle to teach and develop leadership training.
That's great. So, I mean, I know a few things I looked at. I know, so you use that concept. You encourage your students to take on projects outside of the dojo?
Yeah, that's right. So for each belt rank, what they do is, instead of just, again, talking about leadership, they are immersed in a leadership role. So for every belt rank, they have to put together a community-based project that is going to make sure that that they're a leader in the project. It's their idea, something they came up with. They set the goals and they build the team and they go out and make it happen. And a big part of their training is actually something I got from Tom Callos too, was the idea that my black belts, I don't want them to just be able to execute a beautiful and precise side kick, but I want them to equally be able to execute a beautiful and precise idea and turn it into reality. And so white belts at our school, you know, they learn kicks, they learn front kick, side kick, you know, and they learn these basic techniques, and they're not very good to start, right? But blue belt, they start to develop some real technique, right? And black belt side kick, wow. You know, it's a wow statement. This should be sharp. It should be precise. It should be on point. It should be powerful. Well, their projects do the same exact thing. And what they do is they build a project portfolio over time. See, something like a side kick, you can see the difference. If I showed video of a white belt side kick and then showed that same video to them at their black belt testing, they'd be like, wow, that was a big difference.
Yeah, sure.
And their projects should do the same thing. So their white belt project, you know what? It's not very good, but it's a place to start. And what they do is they begin to build off of that, right, and to develop the idea. And so every time that they do a project, they get a little bit better results in their community, right? And so their blue belt project is starting to really turn into something, and their black belt project involves the entire community and several businesses and 100 other people, and gets big results. So that's my goal. That's kind of what the whole idea is based on.
That's awesome, Gary. I mean, what kind of things have your students done as projects? What sort of things? Anything successful, or any really big things that stand out to you?
Well, there's one girl that stands out. I was just talking with her last night about her project, and when she was a little girl, she was diagnosed with leukemia, and so she spent a lot of time in the children's hospital and that. And she's been over for a long time. I mean, she has long hair now and that, and she's 14. But she visits frequently. She visits the children's hospital. And one of the things that she remembered when she was going there was they always had this toy bin, and that she got to go, when she went there, it was kind of like her little spark of happiness. She got to go pick a toy out from the toy bin and take it home with her, right? Yep. And she always remembered that. I always kind of struck a chord with her. Right. Well, she went there now as a teenager back to go visit the place that she spent so much time at, and she realized that this toy bin was very barren. There was hardly anything left in there. So she said, you know what, I'm going to do something about it. So interesting kind of side note is I do project announcements and stuff after class. I let the kids stand up and speak, and talk about their projects. And so I put out the announcement. I said, anybody do any projects recently I want to share? And she stands up, and she's kind of shy, and she stands up and she says, well, I raised $3,700 for, cancer ward for the children's hospital. I said, you did what? Yeah, I didn't know anything about this project. Yeah. But the kids are learning to be able to take action without the instructor, without me there. They know how to do it. They know what it entails. And so she went out and she sent out a letter to local businesses asking them to help out with this project. She raised $3,700. And then her and some friends and family went to the local toy store and spent $3,700 on toys. Wow. And it was like this, giant, wall of toys that she put up and at the school here, let everybody see them. And then she went and delivered them to the children's hospital. So those are kind of projects that I really like to see that are great examples of their leadership. That's
fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's really cool.
I know we've not really spoke much beforehand, but I suffered with cancer myself last year, so I managed to get over that with bowel cancer. But I saw a lot of children's wards and different children going through cancer and things, and it's just horrific. And for someone to be in that young, doing things like that is amazing. That's great. It's great to hear. To
be able to see a problem and take action, do something about it. That's really the goal.
Absolutely. So what switched you on to that concept to teaching students to become leaders and make that the main focus point of your training? What was the point where when you started your school, you thought this is why I want to focus on it?
Well, I've always been involved in personal development type stuff. Tony Robbins and things like this. That I've always been around it since I was a teenager, and always kind of had that in my background. I was really liked a lot of those kinds of trainings. And I wanted to find something that you could actually practice the stuff on, that was, something that was people can gain experience with. And when I was training to be a martial arts instructor, and I was a program director for somebody else's school, we had talked a lot about developing a leadership curriculum, a leadership program that was based on this idea. And my instructor at the time was kind of, not against it, but didn't really see the merit of really kind of diving into that kind of an idea. So that's why I broke off and started my school and kind of went with this and ran with this whole idea. Yeah. Really, that's kind of the idea. It was just kind of developed out of a need, out of a desire to make sure that there was some kind of a vehicle to learn leadership, you know. And
absolutely. And I mean, how many students do you have currently training?
There's 150 students at our school, and project portfolio right now is what's really I'm proud of, is that out of those 150 students, and over the last 8 years, we've developed a project portfolio of 250 projects. Like Katie, like this girl with the toys, you know, so 250 projects like this that have been done in a small community here.
That's amazing, you know. So it's a good job you ran with that idea.
Yeah, definitely. So, and you know, to all the school owners out there, if you're interested in this idea, the cool thing about it is it's our unique selling proposition. It's our USP. It's our thing that defines us and absolutely sets us apart from anybody else in the area. But it's an incredible under the radar marketing approach.
Yeah, sure.
It gets out in our community over and over and over and over of what we're doing and what we teach and what our school is all about, without beating somebody over the head with a sales pitch, you know.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like you said, there is. I think a lot of schools got to go down that hard sales, direct, you know, take all the time.
Right.
I know one of the guys I know quite well, who I've done an interview with, Ken. He gets heavily involved. Ken Byrne. From I've got an interview there. You can see Ken Byrne on our site, but he sure. He gets heavily involved in community-based projects. Not the same as the way that you've approached it, but he gets stuck in the community, and you know, it's been very successful right. When it creates that goodwill and word of mouth, and you know, it's giving back rather than taking. Yeah, I get, you know, myself as well. I've done a lot of free courses and seminars with different groups and local clubs, and that's always return students. So yeah, I think
sure. They call it cause marketing. Okay. You know, you can align your business with some cause in your community, some other, maybe a nonprofit or some organization that's out there that you can kind of work together with, partner with. Right. And so it's cause marketing. A lot of companies do it. You know, Coca-Cola and Disney, they're all involved in cause marketing. It's a very common approach, especially big corporations.
Because I also see, Gary, you've got your own website as well, GaryEngels.com. And I see there you also do marketing services for clubs. Is that right?
Yeah, I developed websites, and we create custom gis and some other things and stuff. Very, you know, cool. But my leadership program is really, you know, the thing that I'm the most proud of, and the thing that I'm really kind of pushing forward with. Yeah,
that's cool. What was it TEDx?
Yeah, we'll be speaking at TED next month. In Reno, Nevada.
Okay.
All about project-based leadership training. They asked me to come out and speak on TED, which is a huge honor, and it's like my Olympics. It's something I've been working towards for years and years and years. You know, and
right.
I kind of feel like all these projects have been leading up to this, and I know that even that's just a stepping stone to something bigger with this whole program. So
sure. Well, that's great, Gary. I mean, what is anything you know that you'd like to talk about, or just let people know about your projects, or where they can find more out about you, or
sure
what you're doing, or anything you like?
Well, one last thing to share then too is the idea that when we first started this idea, we had students would fill out a piece of paper and they would turn that in, and I would put it in a file folder, and that was their project portfolio that they had.
Okay. And
I found out that it was kind of a hard way to track those projects. So what I did is I put together a website. It's called Projabi, Projabi.com, right. And the idea of Projabi is it's a project portfolio site. So all of our students and students from all over the world, we have students in Australia and the UK and Ireland that are using Projabi now to develop their own projects. And so on Projabi, there's almost 600 projects now completed that are tracked on the website. Each student has their own project portfolio. Each school has their own project portfolio that they can develop and work through. And if you're kind of struggling on a project idea, you can go on Projabi and look at everybody else's projects and kind of get some ideas, you know, what you could do.
Oh, that's great. So if anyone's interested in that idea, they can go there, find out more information about it, and be able to use that as some research and start their own leadership projects.
You got it, Projabi.com.
Yep. Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't even see that. I didn't know that, so I'll be checking that out later.
Sounds great.
That's cool. Well, Gary, thanks very much. It's a bit short notice, and
no problem.
I really appreciate you having a chat, and we'll have to catch up again soon, and invite you back on the show as well.
That sounds great. Appreciate what you're doing there.
Yeah, thanks, man, and we'll speak soon, and I'll find out a bit more what happened at TEDx.
Sounds great, Scott. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.